my good man. Salute my good man. If I don't salute you, then you got to tell me because I'm doing something wrong.
I salute you. Salute right back at you.
Salute. I'll give you the fufa. You know my man? Hey, what's up, everyone, man? Welcome to the Devo and Kris Joe Show. We got on another great guest, man. Before we get him on, I just want to go through a few things that he did in his career here. 281 threes, third only to Andy and G-Mac. He was the only Syracuse player to play in two Final Fours in 2012 and 2016. His final three seasons, he started 102 consecutive games, scored almost 1,500 points. Yeah, he was one of the he was one of the greatest shooters, to come out of Syracuse, man. And now he's doing this thing on the business side. We want to get him in here. Our guy, Trevor Cooney.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Did you hear how I brought you in, man?
I did.
That was a great intro.
I was also
man.
intro. I don't get that stuff anymore, so it's good to hear.
Hey, Trev, man, what's going on with you, man? Just update everyone with what you've been up to and how you've been and what's going on, man.
So, still back home in Delaware. I work for a developer, a real estate company. I was at the Chase Fieldhouse doing like youth programming, still involved with basketball. I've stepped outside of basketball for the first time, and I'm doing commercial building management and commercial leasing for the same company. So a little different the last year or so, but learning a lot and trying to get into just a different career.
And what's that been like for you, though, bro? What's that been for you, like just transitioning outside of basketball and getting comfortable in a different career?
It was tough, and it's still tough. Just trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out what I like, what I want to continue to do. Basketball was awesome for me for so long, and then when I got done playing, hopped into a job that was perfect for me because I was still involved with the community. I was still involved with basketball and sports. But then the last year and a half, kind of transitioning out of that, it's been tough. But still just trying to focus on just being who I am, working hard and just trying to figure out how to make it, really.
Question for you, Trev. How much, we're obviously going to get to the good old backstory and how you got to Syracuse and all that good stuff, but I'm curious to know, how does basketball help you? Like for me, I feel like when they say ball is life, I really think basketball makes me a better driver because I'm seeing two cars ahead. I'm kind of seeing what's going on around me. So I really think, like, as a basketball player, 24/7, do you find that you do that too in your day-to-day with this job and how it helps you, like whether it's teamwork, how to work with different personalities and things of that nature?
Oh, without a doubt, every single day. For me, like, I wasn't the most athletic guy. I wasn't like gifted in a lot of certain ways. So I made it just by being in the gym and working hard. And I like, so I understood at a young age, like if I wanted to play well, then you had to put in the time. So now I know if I want to continue to climb the ladder at work, if I want to get more properties to manage, I have to do well. I have to be there. I have to grind it out. So that mentality kind of stays the same for me. And then also, like, I mean, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of different teammates at Syracuse. I had a lot of different teammates overseas. So, and a lot of different coaches as well. So how to communicate with them has definitely paid off now. And then also, I mean, even going through the process, I mean, you guys know in terms of the media attention that you get at Syracuse and having to deal with that. I mean, that stuff helps you grow up and helps you grow up fast and mature, and you learn a lot during that process.
No doubt.
Hey, Trev, I kind of want to, because I had you on the podcast before and we talked about, you talked about growing up, how you were always in the gym. I think you said your brother was the high school coach, right? So you had you always had the key to the gym. You were always in there shooting. And, a lot of people heard about your story, but I want you to share it for the people listening now. Kind of how you grew up and you were always in the gym. Like I said, your brother was the coach at the high school, and you always had the key going in late night. Talk about, how you didn't have those athletic advantages, but like you just spoke on, that hard work puts you to, have a great career at Syracuse. Kind of talk about in the beginning and how it got started with you, how you got introduced, and how you made it to Cuse.
Yeah, I was. So I have an older brother who's 8 years older than me, and I was really fortunate that he was around. He stayed local for high school. He stayed local for college, and he was someone that always pushed me to be the best that I could be. And when I decided at a young age of sixth, seventh grade that I really wanted to focus on basketball, he was right there for me. He was getting new drills for us to try. He was rebounding for me. He became not only being a big brother, but like a coach and a mentor towards me throughout that whole process. And I mean, if it wasn't for him to have that support, I don't know if I turn out to be as good, or if I turn out to go somewhere like Syracuse, because having someone help you guys know, I mean, it's huge. You need someone that supports you and believes in you, and that was him for that process. And then when I went to high school, he was the assistant coach there. So we were there before practice, after practice, and was fortunate enough to get in there during the off season, kind of whenever he wanted. And I fell in love with being in the gym and hanging out with him. And it was just something that I enjoyed to do, he enjoyed to do, and we pushed each other to be better. And it was a perfect fit, really.
So you fell in love with that grind at an early age. It's important for, we have kids sometimes listen to the show, and it's important to highlight the fact that if you want, you can't just pick up a ball today and say, fuck it, I'm going to be great tomorrow. It takes hours and hours and hours, unseen hours, you know what I mean, for you to be able to do the things you do in the game. So I just like, for you to touch. You just said 6th, 7th grade is when you made the decision, which means you're 12 years old, about 12, 13, where you're going to start taking it serious. You know what I mean? So just run us through, like you said, like what the work was like for you to become and have the great high school career that you had, even, at that point. So that's in middle school, 6th, 7th grade, your elementary, middle school. That's even before any of the bright lights and the premier matchups. You know what I'm saying? I know you played, AJ English probably a few times in high school, and things like that. So just talk about just the work that it takes. Yep, shout out to AJ, man. He's good. Iona, yeah, he's tough, man. Just talk about the work that it takes, man.
I mean, I just fell in love with the game at a young age. Around that time of just me, the basketball, being in the driveway, and I just love that part. Basketball was such a challenge at a young age to me, and it was something that a lot of my friends were into baseball, soccer, lacrosse, football. Not a lot of my good friends growing up played basketball, so it was something that I kind of only did. And then I just kind of fell in love with that. And I just wanted to continue to get better. And I understood that if you wanted to get better, like you had to put the time in, you had to work on different things. And I was just willing to do whatever. And I just always had a basketball in my hands, was always in the driveway or in a gym.
That's lovely, man. That's lovely.
What did a typical day look like then for you? Like, just like you're in high school, like, for instance, for me, I know, was it snowing in Delaware? Is there a lot of snow in the winter?
No, not like Syracuse, no.
No. Okay. All right. Well, so look, so I'm from Michigan. So for me, I'm chipping the ice in the winter. Like, that's what I tell these kids.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're obsessed. So what was like a typical day for you? Did you wake up before school? You went to school, after school, you doing it after practice? What was it like for you? I mean, cause like Joe said, kids need to hear like what a daily routine looks like. Cause it's a lot of basketball involved in that.
I mean, once high school hit, like if it was the off season, I mean, my brother and I, we could get in the gym. We'd have to wait till everyone cleared out, type of a thing. So we would get in the gym around like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and then get home around 11. And that was kind of during the off season. And then during the season, in there before, and then easily hour and a half after practice, just depending on when games were or what we had going on during the week. But I loved the different shooting drills that I would come up with or that I would find to challenge myself and then just keep going. I just love that process of it, and just continuing to get better. It wasn't like I just loved spending time in the gym or shooting or stuff like that. It wasn't to.
You love the game.
It wasn't to like, it wasn't to like, oh, I'm going to make so much more shots tomorrow because I got a lot of shots up today. I really wanted to get a lot of shots up, and I wanted to shoot. I just love the process of it. But that was normally, and then I just would find my time to put in extra, time on the court, whether it was before or after. And then once the summertime hit, and then I got a little older, and when I would come home from Syracuse, normally a normal day would be, I had a trainer up in Philly. So I would drive from Wilmington, Delaware up to Philly, probably around an hour. And then I'd work out for 2 hours. I'd come home, have some lunch. And then I would head to, my local gym and lift for an hour or so, whatever I was doing, or find different conditioning drills on treadmills or jump rope, or run outside. And then I would head at night, come home, eat dinner. Then I would head to my high school, where they had a shooting machine. By the time, of course, when I left high school, they decided to get it, which was perfect because I took advantage of it when I was in college and I still had the keys. So then I would come in and get a couple hundred shots up at night, and I mean that was my day. And then I would just repeat and repeat.
Hey, that's dope, and obviously I was able to witness that hard work. So, just to hear, even for me, I said I knew you had some type of a work ethic before coming to Syracuse, but now just hearing this for the first time, it makes sense how hard you were working every day tirelessly, which we'll get to obviously at some point, right, in this hour-long conversation. But so just talk to us about that recruitment process, man. When was it that your first letter that you remember getting, or your first interest, or that your coach said, hey, so-and-so, did it come local first, I would have to assume, or how did that work out?
It came local. So when I was in 8th grade, my middle school was connected to my high school. So I actually played varsity as an 8th grader. Wow. And then I started playing on AAU, and I played a couple years up. So then like University of Delaware came around like freshman year in high school, and then like St. Joe's, Temple, LaSalle, like all the kind of the Philly schools kind of came around. Yeah. Then once Nova came around, like sophomore year, then it started to really pick up. Then I started getting some other Big East. Yeah, then I started getting some other Big East, Maryland, West Virginia, and then Syracuse, and then some all. And once you get Syracuse, you kind of have everything that's kind of in the Big East or ACC most likely. And I always wanted to go to a basketball school. Like as a kid, I loved watching JJ. Yeah. In college, and I also loved watching Devo in college, and Syracuse, and I just wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than me, and that you went to a school like everyone knew it, like everyone knew, like, and like in my mind, like that was North Carolina, Duke, Syracuse, UCLA. Like kind of like those basketball schools. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to be a part of. And then growing up kind of in Wilmington, Delaware, like the games you got all Big East games all the time. So I remember just remember watching a bunch of Big East basketball, and that's what I wanted to be a part of. Cause like when I was growing up, I remember my dad and his buddies, they would always head up to the Big East tournament, and every year he'd be like, "Oh, I'll take you next year. I'll take you next year," and he never took me. So I took myself there. But it was just something that was around. So you wanted to be a part of the best basketball league that's around, and that was the Big East. So I think it was around sophomore year in high school. Syracuse started coming around, and then I got to know Hop really well, and just fell in love with Hop and everything that he was, everything that he was preaching, and all the different calls and the recruiting process of it. I just thought that he was a really, really good guy, and he is. And then once I went up to Syracuse, I completely fell in love with the place itself. My first game was Kris, you were playing. It was the I guess it was the 33,000 against Villanova.
Oh, against
Probably
Nova? God damn. Yep. My sophomore year.
your sophomore year. Yeah, I think Andy was Devo. You were probably just 1 year out, maybe 2 years
1
out.
year
I think
out.
Andy was Andy was a
It
senior.
was Andy, Wes,
2009.
Rick. Yeah,
Rick
yeah.
Ayo.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
Rick
yeah.
Ayo, Trish,
Scoop. Yeah.
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 So that
Hey,
and then
we got that was a great game to go to, Trev.
Yeah,
That was
well,
my
Was
number
Bye
one
on the team?
outright in the Big East. No,
Bye
no
was on
bye.
the team.
No bye.
No Bye.
No,
No
Bye
Bye
wasn't on that team.
Okay.
It was Rick, Ayo, James.
Okay, right. Bye was next year.
Yeah, Bye was the next year. Yup. Wes, Andy, Trish, Scoop, myself, and then we had whoever else at that point. Damn, I feel bad for saying that, but we had a couple other guys. But those were the main guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that was a great game to come to.
Hell of a game.
34,000.
It was a hell of a game. And I remember just being up there for that game and just being like, "Holy shit! Like, this is the basketball game here. Like this is unbelievable. Like, who wouldn't want to be a part of this?" And I'm like, you guys want me? Like, I'm like, and after that, it was a done deal. I think I let the recruiting process go for another year or so after that, but it was pretty much over after that. And then that was the day when I go back into the locker room after the game, and I'm walking, and growing up like a Sixers fan, I knew who Derek Coleman was, because of my dad, and just kind of I knew that. I knew he went to Syracuse and stuff like that. And he comes up to me and he introduces himself, and I'm like, oh, this guy's really nice, right? He's like, where else are you looking? And I'm like, well, Nova, West Virginia. And then before I could get another school out, he backhand right in my chest, and I could feel it. He goes, "Why the fuck would you ever go anywhere else? Did you just see all these people here?"
That's it. That sounds like you said.
And then by this time we're kind of through the hallway area and right outside the locker room, and we head right in, and he puts me in a headlock. And he was like, "You're going to go to Syracuse. You're going to go to..." And I was like, "Okay." By then I was already I really didn't go here, but then I was like, I can't let this guy down. I mean,
he'll find you. He'll hunt you down, dog.
Yeah. I was like, I'm on your team, man. I'm on your team.
Yeah. Do you ever and then really both of y'all because I know I catch myself sometimes even when we do the the camp in the summer for Coach Boeheim, when they have the everybody come back and they do the fantasy camp, and you see all those guys that used to play, I remember Lawrence, Sherb, DC, Pearl, rest his soul, all the guys, Ralph, who came, and then you're a part of that, you know what I'm saying? You see all those that Mellow, you know what I'm saying? Do you ever kind of sit back and be like, God damn, that's because Syracuse is different as far as when you have the camaraderie, and it's almost it doesn't matter. The guy might have played 20 years before you, Roosevelt Bowie, but I feel like it's my teammate. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think what's wild for all of us is, I know sometimes I catch myself too, especially if you get a back in the day game, and it's in Manley Fieldhouse, and there's no 3-point line, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, you know what's crazy? I'm like, those guys have the same coach that I had, and I'm like that, and I think that's what brings everyone together, is we all have
no question,
100%.
No matter when you almost came through the program, which is super, super special. I mean, not many programs where people over that span of years can share the same coach. And it's impressive. It really is.
Yeah, no question. Because, these days coaches are there for 5 years max, and there's going to be some type of change. Either they're going to get fired for losing or do well or go somewhere else. So it's definitely it's definitely a unique situation, man. And speaking on coach, so you're going through the recruitment process. You meet Hop, ball of energy. I know Hop was my guy. He didn't even recruit me. You feel me? So how is it when you meet Boeheim for the first time, and you have that first conversation with him?
As we all know, as you said, like a ball of fire. Like Hop's energy, like was so much that like you kind of thought Boeheim was going to be not like him, but like a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then you get up and like Boeheim's like when you first meet him, like the complete opposite. He's just like during the process, I talked to Boeheim twice on the phone. Twice. One was I think Hop threw the phone at him and was like, talk to him. And I was like, okay. And then the other time, I'm literally like, I think I was committed already, but I get this number, like I'm in high school and I get this unrestricted number calling me. And I'm like, what the hell? And I answer it. I'm like, hello? It's like, Trevor? It's Coach Boeheim. I'm like, which how he got from now knowing him. At first, I'm like, oh man, this is some secret type stuff. Like, why is this guy calling me like this? And then now he probably just didn't know how to work the phone, or like I have no idea how he called me from unrestricted number. He probably had no idea how he did it. But like what Boeheim did at Syracuse was he created the program to run itself and sell itself. And then he brought back assistants that played for him, that knew exactly what he wanted, and he let them go out and get the players. So once you understood that, you kind of weren't looking for that, like right off the bat relationship with Boeheim. Was you had it with the assistants. And I think out of the recruiting process, like, I mean, sometimes you're like, oh, well, like, does this place want me? Because you're not hearing that much from the head coach, but of course they want you. Because Boeheim did a great job of just setting the program up to be what it is today and what it was. And he has great assistants around him. But it was, the recruiting process was a lot of fun with Hop. And once I got up there, I got to know Jerry. At that time, Jerry was just coming back to be a GA. And what was cool with that was having Jerry around and other assistants that were players there, just because those guys all went through the same stuff that you
the same shit, bro.
So I thought it was really, really cool and helpful to have someone that you could talk to. And I know like Jerry was that for me, like he is for a lot of other guys. Support system that you had, and he almost was like that older brother I had growing up, and then when I went off to college, he kind of filled that role, which was huge for me.
Trev, I want you to talk about your first year going into Syracuse. I mean, you had so much success in high school, winning 2 state championships. Then you come to Syracuse your freshman year. It's loaded in the backcourt. Brandon, Trish, I think Scoop Jardine, you came in with Michael Carter Williams, and it's funny because this is off topic, but I remember when you guys first got there, we went out to the lake. It was me, you, MCW. Bro, I always remember that story when your freshman class. My fault, Joe. You good? What happened?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, I don't know. You know how I get the Wi-Fi in Canada sometimes is weird, bro. But
you're in a different country. Yo, Joe. We're just talking about his going into his freshman year. How he's had so much success coming out of high school, winning 2 state championships. And I was just talking about how I met him. His coming in that summer, his freshman year, he went out to the lake with I think it was.
It was me, Rakeem, Mike, you, Scoop, Terrence was there.
Terrence, what was it? Dr. Fallon's place, right? Dr. Fallon's place. It was
yeah.
Yo, bro, I remember that. Almost twisting my ankle, jumping off the boat. Yo, bro, but
Did they ever pull that canoe? Did they ever pull the canoe out that ended up at the bottom?
Yes, bro, it was a fun day, man. We had a good time, but that was my first. Go ahead.
And that was really cool for me, Mike, and Rock, just to come around. You got some older guys there you could talk to and hang out with. And it was cool that the fact that you guys were all around still. Like, if you guys are coming back here, then you're like, well, I think I made a good decision here because, like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you guys wouldn't come around. It's the same coaches, it's the same everything, same people, everything. I mean, for you guys to be around and for you guys still to be around, I think that means a lot to the program, and it shows a lot about the program.
Bro, so look, Joe, me, after my first couple years out, I'm coming back working out in the summer, staying with Chris Joe. You know what I'm saying? We right on Slocum Heights with it. Oh my, you know what I mean? No, so that's that family already. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's always that's why I love going back to Syracuse. Just that family feel, bro, is nothing like it. If my memory serves me right, this might not have been my first time meeting Trev, Rock, Mike, because they all came together. But I remember it was the summertime. I was on Slocum, and I had a few of them. Maybe it was some vodka, maybe it was beer. I don't know what it was, right? But I ended up walking to their crib. And all of a sudden, bro, I just started punching the wall and all that. So that's just how it gets sometimes, man. Made a couple of holes in the wall. So if I got y'all in trouble and had to pay some type of fees, I apologize, man. But
we covered it up. It never happened.
I tell you what. I tell you this. All three of us had a couple of those in our time at Syracuse.
Oh yeah. Hey, it is what it is. But not Trev. Speaking on, the class that you come in with, 2 McDonald's All-Americans, you yourself being highly touted and recruited, the decision ultimately, you're coming into a situation where you got Scoop Jardine, Brandon Trish, obviously Michael Carter-Williams, you got guards, you got wings that are already there, established, and, the decision is made, which I want to get to how you came to that conclusion, how it came about for you to redshirt. So how was that? How was that for you? As far as just mentally as well, like knowing how good you are as a player, and you even me witnessing it, you were ready to play, bro. You know what I'm saying? You could definitely. Every team needs a shooter. Every team needs someone like you on their team. But what was the deciding factor for you saying, you know what, I'm gonna maybe or maybe not swallow my pride and redshirt?
Like in the recruiting process, like Hop, Boeheim, like they were truthful in terms of expectations, which was big because there was a lot of places that sell you just about anything
for sure
to try and get you to go there. But they were upfront, a lot of talent ahead of you, some talent coming in with you. We know we're going to have some really good teams, and we know that you can help us. When I don't know, but for me, I was just like, I want to prove it. I want to be a part of this. So when I came up, I think everyone thought Dion was going to be one and done, which was going to free up potentially a spot. And I think during the beginning of it as well, because MCW blew up his last year in high school. He was an extremely talented, but he just got on the circuit and he blew up. Because I remember at first they're like, I think we're going to redshirt Mike, and this was like in the beginning when we all kind of committed. And then all of a sudden, this guy's an All-American, so it's just like obviously not going to redshirt him. And then Dion ends up staying around. So when I get up there and we start practicing, I mean, I can see it. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm counting. I'm like, there's only so many minutes in the game. I'm like, and so I kind of knew. And I remember like calling back home and like talking with my brother, my dad about it, and just being like, these guys are really good. I was like, if I do play, it won't be a good situation. We'll be up 30 or down 30. Just because I knew there's only so many minutes you can play. And so practice starts, we're probably like a week or so in on practice. And then Boeheim's like, hey, I want to see you in my office after practice. So I head up and he's like, I never really had this conversation before. I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, I just think maybe it'd be better if you redshirt this year. And I remember just being like, I totally agree, coach. I think that's the best decision ever. And he was like, really? He's like, I'm like, yeah. I mean, coach, obviously I'm not going to play this year. Like, I mean, Mike's probably like the fifth guard. Like the sixth guard's not playing. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and we like totally agreed with each other. And he was like, all right, that sounds good for what he thought was going to be an awkward like 20-minute, 30-minute conversation. Was about like 5 minutes.
He didn't want it to be long.
I'm like, all right, coach, completely agree. I'll see you tomorrow. And he's like, okay, sounds good. But like for me, I knew, and even like that was a really, really tough year for Mike. I mean, Mike and I lived together that tough, year, bro. And Mike came off having an unbelievable year in high school, All-American. He's looking around at all the other guys that are All-Americans that are playing somewhere, and he's not. And it was just because you had Scoop, you had Dion, you had Brandon, and you look how a lot. And 3 guards. I mean, a lot of times he doesn't play more than 3 guards.
And then who are the forwards? Who's the forwards again?
Oh, it was myself, James, CJ. Yeah. You know what I mean? But hey, for anybody coming to Syracuse, just remember, I'm going to whisper this. He only plays 7 guys. You know what I mean? He only plays about 7.
Yeah. And that's how it was. And for me, like it was a tough year for me as well, but I knew that I was going to get this year back. And just watching Mike, I mean, we're halfway through the year. I know he was really frustrated, and I'm like, this dude's dominating in practice, and he's not playing that much. Like for me, I was like, I made the best decision because I mean, unless something crazy happened, I wasn't going to play. So it was an unbelievable decision, especially looking back in the last year that I had. But it was a very, very easy decision to make for me at that time, and even going back now, I would definitely make the same one.
Yo, Joe,
just bring me back. Oh, what's up, E?
No, that was this year, or probably the last few years, is the first time coach has really started to get that rotation to like 9, 10. Like we seen yesterday they played 10 guys maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
we never saw that. So
it's not exactly. This
is the first time we've seen it. Yeah, it is.
So Trev,
go ahead, Joe.
You know, just to piggyback just real quick before we move on. What was your first impressions of the team? You know what I'm saying? You come in, the year before that, we had lost to Marquette in the second round of the tournament, which was fucking underachieving. Like if underachievement was a fucking person, bro, it would be everyone. It would be us. So, you know what I mean? So, you know, we lose to them in the second round. You know, you guys are coming in, but what's your first impression of just the team? Like your first time playing pickup, or you know, whatever it was.
That first team,
fucking Fab Mello. Fab was there too. Rest in peace, Fab. Fab was there.
Peace, Fab.
Like, yeah.
That first team that we had was unbelievable. I mean, that year, I mean, I was in like the third 5 maybe that we had. I mean, you had the starting 5. You had Scoop, Trish, you, CJ, and Fab, and then off the bench you had Dion, Mike, James. You had Rakeem. You had Fab.
That's 9 right there. That's 9.
Mookie was on the team.
Mookie was there too.
Like practices were unreal. I mean, even just the preseason, like pickup games that we would have and stuff like that. We had a great group of guys, but we had a hell of a talent on that team, up and down. But that was a really, really fun team to come into with you guys there, you and Scoop as leaders. I know I just learned a lot, just kind of taking a couple steps back and kind of taking everything in, and just kind of seeing how you guys handled everything. And we made a great run in the Big East tournament and made a good run in the NCAA tournament. And I know it was a huge part for my development to be a young guy on that team, and to kind of really take a step back. And I didn't really have any pressure on me in terms of playing. My only stuff was to listen, learn, and work hard. And I took full advantage of it during that year.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember you busting ass in practice, Trev. I ain't gonna hold you. I remember you going crazy in practice because, you know, like you were.
Oh, Joe. Oh, Canada.
No. I'm getting calls. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but they keep calling, man. God damn.
Oh, I
But yeah,
thought
I
that was
remember you
Kansas
killing in practice
landline.
as well. Nah. Go ahead, E. I just want to say I need to give my guys flowers because he
Facts.
was killing. And it's always tough to come into situations like yourself or even like a Mike, like you mentioned. I remember Mike getting kicked out of practice, him and Hop getting into it because that frustration just starts to build up. You know what I mean? Like I should be playing, I'm not. I remember Mike coming in dunking on somebody when we played St. John's at the Garden. Like he could play, bro, but it's just sometimes the
No doubt.
situation is the situation. So, it was good to see him, how he handled it. Trev, you were in a unique situation where you could work hard as shit every day. I seen you work, Kabilis, fucking GMAC. Like, I seen you put the work in. You were, with the tight no sleeve, dry fit, that was your shit. You feel me? And and you were getting your work done, bro. I was watching, man.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, there's just an unreal group of support up there, and I was in a great position to get to know everyone and take advantage of it, and I had a great time doing it.
Hey, you know what? I was just thinking of when you're talking like, yeah, you can work as hard as you can. You're in the gym. You got to get your reps up. You got to be in the weight room. That's mandatory. You got to do that. And what's missing from a lot of these kids nowadays, that what you had, what Joe had, what that team that we were just speaking about had, was guys were competing. You know what I mean? Like, I think like especially for guys like, like myself, I wasn't the strongest guy or most athletically gifted person. But what gave me like an edge or got me ahead was how I competed. You feel what I'm saying? Like I was going 100% every time. Like I put like a lot of emphasis on that. Like every game in the back of my head, like, all right, you gonna go out there and compete, regardless if he's big, 7 foot, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I know those practices, there was dudes was shit talking, you know what I mean? Like you said, Mike was like, man, fuck that, I'm done. I know Mike was talking shit. I came back in the summer talking shit to him.
And Dion, they talking shit all practice, bro.
But that's competitor dudes is competing like that shit is for free right there. Like these dudes, they want to go and compete like that. Like that mindset isn't as prevalent as it was back then as it is now. You feel what I'm saying? But Trev, for you, having success in high school, coming to Cuse, having to sit back and watch, not play, for that year, and then a little bit into that second year, and then those 3 years, like we said, 102 consecutive games. But how much of you being a competitor, you competing, you know what I'm saying, in those practices and competing with yourself, got you through those times? You feel what I'm saying? Got you through those first few years until when you knew, like, all right, I'm one of these guys.
No, absolutely. I mean, having those guys in front of me and covering Brandon Trish for 2 years, covering Dion for a year, like covering Mike and Scoop and those guys wanted to get better every single day. And at that time, it was my job to get those guys better. So I took a lot of pride in that as well. And so did everyone else that kind of came through. And I think that was the culture that GMAC, Hop, Red, and all those guys created, was to take a lot of pride in what you're doing every single day and push the next guy and push yourself to try and get better. And I think because of that, I mean, we had some really, really good years during that time. And I think they brought in some really good guys and some competitive guys. And I think we meshed well together and worked well together, and good things kind of happened.
So you get done redshirt in your first year. We fucking lose to Ohio State in the Elite Eight. All right, now for you it's go time, because it's you're about to be playing the next year. So what's that summer like for you before coming into your official first year playing?
I was excited. I was definitely excited. You took a whole entire year off, but I just wanted to get in there and play. And not having any game experience to go off of was tough. And my freshman year was really, really tough. I didn't shoot the ball well. I was focused on a lot of different things, and I was kind of in that doghouse like we've all been in before with Boeheim, to where you can almost not do anything right type of a thing. And that year, I mean, Trish and Mike were two of the better guards together, really, in the country. And then they played well. They deserved all the minutes they got. And I was there to help. I think that year, I learned how to play the 2-3. And at the end of the year, how to take care of your body and a lot of the other little things that I need the next 3 years. But that year was tough. It was really, really tough. I definitely did not play how I wanted to play. But it was another huge learning year for me that kind of set me up for the next 3 years. But that was a tough year. It really was. I mean, I got crushed in practice a lot. But I mean, it took everything I had to continue to get better and to learn the system offensively and defensively, and kind of understanding what Boeheim wanted out of me out there.
I want to ask you this.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Joe.
So I just want to ask you how important of a role did GMAC play for you? Again, we spoke on the fact that it really helps when you have a coach who is also a former player for the coach that you're playing for, right? So how much did GMAC, and GMAC again, I'd say you guys have similarities in the sense that both of you could shoot the fucking leather off the ball, right? Both of you weren't athletically gifted. You had some bounce now, Trev. Don't get it twisted.
Underrated athlete, bro.
Yeah. Underrated. You had some bounce, a couple of good fucking dunks in your career, but you guys not just athletically gifted. Like, so how much of a help was GMAC for your growth and development throughout your years?
He was big. I mean, there's no one like GMAC up there. And I mean, he was there for 4 years, won national championship, was a part of teams that got knocked out in the first round or struggled on years. Like, the guy went through everything up there on and off the court. So to have him there that you could kind of talk to just about everything. I mean, good games, bad games, a couple bad games in a row, a couple good games, like how to stay level, how to keep working. And I mean, he was everything for me. I mean, he made the experience that much better being at a program like Syracuse to have someone like him. And he, like I said earlier, I mean, he filled that role of an older brother to me, just because my brother and I's relationship was like, once we were out on the court and stuff like that, like some of that stuff went away. Like, he treated me like I was on his team. He pushed me. He didn't talk to me like a brother. Like, and then off the court, it was like he wasn't just in my face yelling at me. And that's kind of how GMAC was, and that's how I wanted GMAC to be. I mean, I didn't want GMAC to be my best friend on the court and not be harder on me just because we were buddy off the court. No, I wanted him to push me and tell me when I needed to pick it up or anything, and he did exactly that, and I respected the hell out of him for doing that, and I think that's what made us so close, because of that relationship that we had.
That's dope.
Hey, Trev, we talked about the numbers, earlier with the intro. 1,500 points, 281 threes. The only SU player to play in 2 Final Fours, 102 consecutive starts. Kind of talk about those last 3 years when you really, took it up, had to take it up a few notches and sum it up, that overall experience going through everything you went through, the numbers that I just mentioned, what does all that mean to you? And, being able to play for a Hall of Fame coach, like we just talked about earlier, the family that you're a part of, but, talk about your play, those last 3 years, that experience, and then, doing it under a coach like, Coach Boeheim.
I mean, even going back to the recruiting period, I mean, I think, like I said, it didn't lie to me at all. They said that, like, you can come in, we're going to have some really good teams. We're going to get some other groups coming in behind you, and you're going to have a chance to be a part of something really special. And to me, that's what it was all about. And no matter what, like, getting out there, whether I was starting or playing a couple minutes, just doing my part and trying to win basketball games. So, I mean, sophomore year, I was fortunate enough to have Tyler Ennis with me. And some other really, really good players. And we had Beneche, Malachi, Tyler Lydon. Like, we had some really, really good players. So for those guys to come through, I learned a lot my first 2 years of what is expected, and the other guys that came before me how to be a leader. And a lot of that stuff paid off. And just fortunate enough to have some great coaches and some great teammates along the way. And we're able to, 25-0, 2 Final Fours. Like, we had some great runs up there, and that's what it's all about. That's what you want to be a part of. So for me to be a part of that and contribute the way I did, I mean, that's everything right there.
Oh yeah, man, it's bro,
No question.
amazing. 25-0 is crazy, bro. Just talk about that. Just you mentioned it and you try to skip over, but I can't let you do that. But just that 25-0 start. Like, what was the vibe around the team? Like, because coach doesn't make a big deal out of nothing. Like, how was he reacting to you guys just continuously winning games? And just the overall kind of aura around the team at that time.
It was something else. I mean, we had Tyler Ennis, was an All-American, but he was a freshman. We just lost Mike. I just lost Trish. So you got me starting. You got a freshman starting. I'm fortunate enough to have CJ. You had Rock, was a sophomore. Jeremy was a freshman. So, like, we were young. Like, nothing was really expected. We actually made a trip during the summertime. We went up to Canada, and we were able to play against some good teams up there and kind of play together before the season started, and that was big. I think everyone realized how good Tyler Ennis is, and just how he plays and how well he sees the floor. And then from that point, it was just flow into the offense, try and get open and get the ball to Tyler because he's going to make the right play. So I think that was big for us to get some games under our belts before the season started. But we came out, and I think we just gelled well together. No one was kind of looking to get theirs. It was just kind of like make the right play, hit the open man, and this group really understood how to play the 2-3. And how to be patient with it, how to keep people in front, bait people into certain areas where we could trap and move out of it and get steals. And I think that group took a lot of pride in playing that. And I mean, from there, CJ had an unbelievable year. Obviously, Tyler did too. But it was just a fun group to be with. And it just kind of kept rolling. And it was an interesting year that year because, like, Arizona, I think, got to like 20-0. I want to say like 2 other teams got close to it. So it wasn't like we were like on this island by ourselves. But once we got up to 25, like it was tough. Like, obviously every single day. 25-0. Now you're getting into like I think like middle of February. You're going middle of February and you haven't lost yet. Like it's tough. Like, you're just kind of like, holy shit. Like and we ended up losing to Boston College, who was the worst team in the ACC that year. And from there, it was just kind of like just hit you like a ton of bricks. We end up losing the next couple. We go down into ACC tournament, lose first round to NC State. Like, it just crumbled on us at the very end. And it was tough for us to get back almost. End up winning the first round in NCAA tournament and then playing a tough Dayton team that got us. But it was like one of those things where you're like, I was really, really impressive with that 25-0, but to not get farther in a tournament or to not finish stronger is definitely not something that like you take a lot of pride in. But to get to 25-0 was tough. So looking back now, like, just to get to that number and the good group that we had was definitely special. No, it's definitely not. And that speaks to the guys that we had on our team. And I think it speaks a lot to Boeheim as well. I mean, the guy has been through every experience, every basketball play, anything you could possibly think of. I mean, the guy's been through it. So I think him just being that calm guy and that coach that's been through everything, I think really helped us in terms of just taking it play by play and game by game. And I think his mentality kind of helped us to get there because you never really thought too far ahead. And you weren't kind of too high or too high on yourselves, really. So I think just having him really, really helped.
Yo, Trev, hindsight, do you think that, and I don't, say you want to lose, but in hindsight, do you wish that team maybe would have went through a loss a little bit earlier? Now you've like got that out the way, just like, all right, boom. All right, we lost, we got it out the way, we know what we need to work on, instead of, going all the way there, losing late,
yeah.
and then, okay. I mean, but
like we never learned how to lose or how to, like, we never got punched
or how to deal with it, right?
Everything went our way.
Exactly.
Like we're I think we're number one in the country at this point. We go into Pittsburgh and we're gonna have a tough game against Pittsburgh, and then Tyler makes like a half court shot to win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then a couple weeks later, you got Duke at home, and they make a tough shot in overtime to force overtime, and then we kind of took over in overtime. Then the next game you have Notre Dame, and I got really, really hot that game, and that helped. And then almost like you
that 9 threes.
That helped.
Yeah, that was that game. Like, that was a part of that year. Like you never. Like nothing ever really went wrong for us. And you never kind of learned that way like I did in other years and other teams that we had. So, I mean, I'm extremely grateful and to have that memory of getting to 25-0. But that was a special group that we had looking back. And I wish we would have got punched in our face a little earlier in the season to see how we would have responded differently, really.
Oh man, I got 2 questions for you, Trev. 2, because you gingerly like pass over things. Hey, I got pretty hot. 9 threes. I got pretty hot. Right. So I wanted to bring that up. Just if you can, I'm sure everybody remembers a game where they were in the zone. Like for me, it was Georgetown at home. We won in overtime. My senior year. I hit 6 threes, and we ended up winning. Devo, I'm sure you had a game where you just went crazy, you blacked out, and you went crazy. But Trev, just bring us through, like just those 9 threes. That game where you hit 9 threes, and you're just in an unreal zone. Like, what's going through your mind? Are you even in the moment? Do you know, like, fuck, I'm not really missing. Like, I'm on one today. Like, how are you feeling in the
dome? 30,000.
Yeah, like
in the dome, bro.
30,000.
Like I said earlier, like playing with Tyler he just made the game so easy. To where you felt comfortable running your sets. You felt comfortable when you knew you were coming off a down screen or you had a screen set for you to get open, or just running the floor. Like a lot of times, just running transition, I like to kind of pick my spots. Either I was getting to the corner first and then coming up, or I was kind of trailing behind. Always looking for a shot. But that game was something else. And I remember even in the second half, like I had a pretty good first half. And then like I missed my first shot coming out, and it was like super early. And there was a long rebound, and Rock gets it, and he flips it to me. And then I hit that one, and then it was like kind of on like that. Like I just got a couple bounces that really went my way. But I remember I just felt so fluid within the offense of getting open and getting to my spots and getting the shots that I wanted. I didn't force anything. And it was actually really funny because it was a close game with Notre Dame as well. And like, I remember I hit like 7, and all of a sudden the guy announced, he's like, "That's number 7 for Cooney right there. The record's 9." And like, I remember being like, what? Like, you're in the heat of the moment right there. But I remember like I hit 8. And then the guy's like, "That's number 8." And then I look over at like my right corner, and I see Boeheim come up the scores table, and he like looks at the guy. He's probably like, "Don't fucking say anything else," because it was just it was just kind of like, this is a really big game. Like, we're number 1 in the country here. Like we're in the ACC. We're battling against a rival here. Like, it's not about that. And I remember like thinking back, being like, man, I really wish that was just a blowout, and I could have like got up like 3 more attempts at the end,
Jacked up.
or like forced something up. But I mean, to tie, because I mean, GMAC has like everything in the book there. Like, there's just some things.
Andy, I think it's Andy too.
Yeah,
it's you, Andy, and
like,
GMAC, right?
Yeah, there's just a couple of things that GMAC has that you can't touch. You could be there for a lifetime and not touch those things. So to be that close to beating something that he had, and those other guys had, I'm like, damn. I'm like,
James
I wish it was like a different game. Yeah, James too. There's a couple guys that are in that 9 list. I'm hoping no one breaks it, but I remember just being like, man, that one more.
The way basketball's played today, bro. The way it's played, ball is played today. They're getting up 18 threes down there, you know. But my second question, you know, we got a few minutes left here. You've played on a couple great teams at Syracuse, right? And you know, what would you say was the best team? You know, is it the 25-0 team? Is it your freshman year? Our team was pretty damn good. So you know,
that was
if you were to say
that team was crazy.
One starting five.
The best team was the team that I didn't play on. So, which sucks to say, but I mean that team was special. I mean, we had you had older guys like you and Scoop. You had younger guys like Dion and CJ that were there for a year that kind of knew the system a little bit. And then you had even younger guys like Rock and Mike. You had Fab, who protected the paint and the 2-3 better than anyone. Like, you just had a great group of guys of just across the board. Everything that you kind of needed. You had shooters. You had guys that could get to the basket. We were long in the 2-3. Like that, I think that team, top to bottom, was by far the best team that I've ever been a part of. And I was fortunate enough to learn from you guys, like I said. So I'm happy that I was there. But that 25-0 team was really good. And I think talent-wise, maybe we weren't. Yeah, maybe we weren't there, like, talent-wise with that group, but I think how we meshed together and how we played under Boeheim's system, I think that group's up there in terms of that category. And then my senior year, which made it to the Final Four, I think that group, talent-wise, like, we were good.
Malachi,
we were young.
Tyler, right? Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DC, me,
DC,
Mike,
Tyler Roberson.
Like, talent-wise, like, we didn't scream off the page, like, kind of like, holy shit, look at these guys. But Mike and I were both fifth-year guys that year. I mean, those young guys with Tyler and both Tylers and Malachi, like, those guys were just extremely talented guys, and guys that kind of just fed right into the system of working hard every single day, possession by possession, game by game, and that group. That senior year group, my senior year, we went through a lot. I mean, that was the year Boeheim was out for 8 games, getting back halfway through the ACC, lose ACC first round to Pittsburgh. You don't have a clue in the world if you're going to make the tournament or not. We're the last 10 seed to get in. We're playing Dayton, who knocked us out of the tournament 2 years before. It was just kind of like a roll of the dice in terms of you got in and the true definition of getting hot at the right time. And that's why you love March Madness, and that's why you love college basketball, because you never know. You just need the opportunity. You need to take advantage of the opportunity. And that group was the best at doing that at that time. And I think that's why we're able to make that run. Obviously, matchup wise, worked out for us a lot. But I think having Mike and I, that were 2 fifth-year guys with a bunch of young guys just being good leaders, I think that just was a huge part of that year.
Hey, Trev, last question, man. We're going to get you up out of here. We appreciate you hopping on with us. I know you're a big advocate for mental health awareness, and we all know that in sports, especially the level that we played at in professional, it's demanding. It's a high demanding, like, you have to be there. it could wear on your mental, the expectations, obviously now with the social media and everything, people talking, you got the fans. How big is that for athletes really to understand and be aware of their feelings, having someone to vent to, talk to, a coach, and how did that really help for you? You talked about, being close with GMAC and being able to have that relationship, and, him someone that you could go to and talk to, not just about basketball. I know I had that with Hop and other people, but, how big is that for you? I know you hold a basketball tournament in your friend's honor who had struggled with it and passed away. But just talk about that a little bit, bro, and the work that you do with that.
It's huge. I mean, I love that it's at the position it is. I love that other professional athletes, especially guys in the NBA, have stepped forward and kind of made their voices heard, because it is a real problem. And a lot of times being an athlete, it's like, suck it up and figure it out and keep working type of thing. But a lot of that stuff, you don't understand it because you can't feel what someone else feels. So it's easy to look at them and say, man, you're playing college basketball. What could possibly be wrong? Type of a thing.
Exactly.
And I remember coming through with social media and having different things. And I didn't even realize at the time, because mental health wasn't talked about like it was when I was in college or when you guys were in college. But like I deleted my social media during the season. Like I didn't have any of it. And looking back, I just kind of did it because I didn't care what people said if I had a good game or if I had a bad game. I didn't care. But I had a lot of teammates that did, and a lot of teammates that it really affected them big time. And for me, I think having that mentality of like, I'm going to delete it right away. I'm not going to care about it. I'm not going to look at it. I think really helped me in terms of like, I didn't need to go to my Twitter. I didn't need to go to my Instagram to see what people are saying. Like I knew what people were saying. Like you have a bad game, you have a bad game. Like I knew people were going to be on me. If I had a good game, it was the same people. So I understood that, and I think that helped me mentally not to get lost in that world. And I think it's even easier now to get lost in it, just because I mean, social media is how we communicate, how we talk to our friends and family. Like it's how we express ourselves. It's everything. And also it's a place where you're on a platform for everyone to see and everyone to comment. So I think that plays a huge part in the role. And I tell young guys all the time, like, I mean, you got to use it, but don't let it affect you so much. Like you gotta know when to put that stuff away and not pay attention to it. But I mean, I just, like I said earlier, I love that it's okay for people to express themselves now, because I mean it's saving people, and I think people understanding 100%. That even though you're this big strong athlete, that you're going to have problems and that you need to reach out and you need to talk to people, and I think it's opening up for teammates to even help other teammates. So I think in terms of I think it's going the right way, and I'm happy to see what it's doing. But yeah, I'd love to talk about the basketball event that I do. We're coming up on our 5th year of doing it. I lost a good buddy of mine 6 years ago. He played at the University of Delaware, but he was a good basketball player growing up, played at the University of Delaware, and my friends and I, no one knew what was going on until we kind of all found out and got the call or text that he did commit suicide. And that was a huge wide opening experience for all of us involved, just because he was someone that had a good job at the time, had a lot of friends, was a good looking guy. Like he had everything going for him. So it kind of just makes you realize that this can happen to anyone. And if it could happen to him, it can happen to the next person. So I think we all kind of took a step back. And for me, I was working at the Chase Fieldhouse at the time, and I was just in a position to help out. And I got a hold of his family, and we started the event, and his family started the foundation. We're on our 5th year of having the basketball event. So basically what we do is we use the basketball event to promote mental health. We bring in different vendors, whether they are different schools that want to be a part of it, whether they are different people that can help, psychologists, doctors, just different things that people can be a part of, and it's really taken off. The event, we have a lot of sponsors and different things, and a lot of people come out to support it. We actually started a safe haven in Newark that's on the University of Delaware's campus. It is a mental health. I want you guys to check it out. It's called Sean's House, and it is a safe haven where we have peer support in there. There's doctors in there. There's psychologists. Anyone. It's open 24/7. It takes all high school kids from 14 to like 24. So high school, college kids, young professionals can go in there and get help. And at any level, whether they just want to talk with someone their age, if they want to talk with someone that's older than them, if they want to talk to an athlete. University of Delaware has been great. They have different captains from their teams that kind of take on leadership roles there. They can go and talk to people, and it saved a lot of people. So I mean, it's definitely something that's needed, but you don't realize how much it is needed until you have something like that around you and you see the support that it gets and how much it's doing.
Hey Trev, is there anywhere we could donate, or that people could donate, or a foundation website they could go to check everything out? Please,
yeah,
where is it?
Unlock the Light. Yeah, unlockthelight.org. You'll find everything on there, from Sean's House to the event that we have. We hosted the first weekend in February 3rd and 4th this year. We do 2 games on Friday night and then 5 games on Saturday. A lot of the local teams are involved. I try and get good matchups with good teams within the state. It's awesome. We've actually live streamed it the last 2 years. So we have like a TV group that comes in. It's on radio as well. So yeah, I mean, pass it along. I know that the information on there is super valuable, and everyone should check it out. And there's some good basketball there as well. So yeah, no, please. If anyone has any questions, anyone can reach out to me.
Unlockthelight.org.
I'll put that over on my social media. Mm-hmm. I'll put it on my social media, man. That's great work.
I appreciate that, guys. That's awesome.
Really needed. Kids gotta really understand that, like you said, we don't have to be the macho man all the time, and we could ask for help, and it's okay, to have, to be struggling. It's okay to struggle. You know what I mean? We have to get over the fact that, that we have to play the tough guy all the time. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to admit that you're struggling. Man. So that's great work, Trev. Great work.
No, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Trev, really appreciate you coming on, man, sharing some stories, and then, sharing that and how you're a big advocate for mental health. A lot, like Joe said, a lot of people benefit from just hearing other people going through it, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people think they're alone, you know what I mean? And they're, when it's really a lot of people, man, we're more, have a lot more in common than people think. So, you just sharing that and letting people know will help out a lot of people, bro. So we appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can get you on again down the road.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. Anytime. I love what you guys are doing. I love that you guys are still around the program. You guys are making a difference, man. I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate that, bro. March 3rd, March 4th, if you can get to the Q's, get to the Q's. Your man G-Mac, get his jersey retired.
I love that.
Gonna be there. We might go to Marshall Street. I don't know. But Marshall Street might be involved. You feel
That's going to be a hell of a night.
I'm going to try to be up there for that. I think I will be.
That'd be
no doubt, Trev.
That'd be dope.
We appreciate you, man. Salute, my guy. Keep doing great work, man. Keep doing great work.
You guys too. Hope to see you soon. We'll see you.